So we are now at a point in this process where we can start ingesting some of the detail from our expression scans. And I'm going to do that with the help of a utility in the tool called proxy combos. And what this does is it takes an expression, so a combination of several shapes, combines it into one that you can sculpt on, and then it ingests it back to those contributing shapes. And it does it in a smart way where it can determine how much each target has contributed to that combined target and distribute your sculpt delta accordingly. And that's really important for a metahuman rig, because if we look at a shape such as the lip corner puller, if you pay attention to the center line, the lips actually shift to one side when you activate one of the targets. So it's not like they've taken a combined left-right lip corner puller and just split it evenly left and right. There is actually asymmetry in the left and right splits of this shape. So we want to maintain that. So if we were to sculpt on a combination of this, then we want to maintain that asymmetry, and this utility will allow us to do that. So with all that said, I'm just going to make sure that my targets are set to 1, which they are, and I'm going to select my mesh, and I'm going to select all the shapes we're interested in. So we have inner and outer brow raise, and if we scroll down this list and just look for any other shapes that are activated, with the exception of this one because that's activated by default. So down here we've also got a combo of inner and outer brow raiser, and there shouldn't be anything else. So with those selected, I'm going to hit create. And we should now have a mesh that matches our rig. But what we also have is this blend shape node here. And if we turn that off, you can see it just goes from the neutral to our combo, and then we have a sculpt target here that we can sculpt on. And the way this works under the hood is if you go into the attribute editor, we have this metadata called source shapes. So this will keep a record of what targets were selected to create this and what the weights were, so that it knows how to split it further down the line. So how I'm going to ingest this detail is similar to how I ingested the detail in the neutral. I'm going to duplicate it, name this shrink mesh, and I'm going to shrink wrap it onto our scan. And now I'm going to add this mesh as a target to this blend shape. So now with that we have this as a target, we have our combo and our shrink mesh, but we actually want to work on the delta between these. So what I can do is remove the delta from this target from our shrink target using this subtract button in the delta utilities. And we should now be able to activate them both. And now the shrink is just the difference between the two. So now we can blend in the detail that we want for this target. What I'm going to do is now duplicate this target and smooth out some of these issues directly. So now what we're left with is a very usable sculpt that has a little bit more wrinkle detail in, We've got some nice volume stuff going on in here where the skin is sliding over the bone. And yeah, this is very usable. And then that's the whole shape on. So one thing I'm going to do quickly is just bake those weights that I painted. And then I'm going to add that shrink target to our sculpt target. And then just deactivate that. So this is our full sculpt that we're going to be extracting. And to apply it, you simply need to select the target and hit apply. And once that's done, what you will end up with is some rebuilt targets for your destination blend shape node, and each of them will have their own sculpt blend shape with your extracted deltas on. So to just see if this has worked, so what you're looking at now is that target baked back into the rig. So you can see the difference by deactivating these sculpts. And to check how well it's been split, I'm just going to deactivate a couple of these and just make sure that it is blending in as expected. And yeah, that's looking good. You know, we've got that wrinkle detail coming in the region you'd expect. Cool. So there we have it. We now have some scan detail ingested directly into our targets. If you're happy, you can just delete these. But what you can also do just to keep this workflow non-destructive is to just make a group and name it as your expression. So I'm going to call this brow rays shape group, and then add these to that group. And then you can just minimize it. And that way it will just keep your shape editor nice and clean. But you can always refer back to these if you need to make further edits.